Hi there, my name is Mike Gesowich, and today I'll be doing a tutorial on basic camera tracking in Adobe After Effects. So let's jump in. So first up, you're going to jump on into Adobe After Effects, and then double click in this area here under the project panel to load in a clip. Select one and then hit open. So the clip I chose was just out in the hallway outside of my dorm room. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag the clip down so that we have a new composition. And as you see, if you drag this along, you'll see how the video progresses. And if you want to just play it, up here in the preview panel, you can hit play and it will play through. Usually not as true to speed, but pretty close. Great. So the first step is we need to track the camera. So to do that, we're going to go on up to Effect, Perspective, 3D Camera Tracker. Now what it's going to do is it's going to analyze the footage and find points within the footage to track. So this takes a little while, so it's going to start out by analyzing the background, and then it's going to go through frame by frame to map tracking points. Now while we wait, it's important to remember that to make this effect work really well, you need to make sure that your surface that you want to track onto has a lot of really good texture. Otherwise, it's going to be really hard for After Effects to track points to your footage. And if you look here, I have all this nice carpet with all this nice texture, which is going to make it really easy for After Effects to create tracking points for us. So once it's done, as you'll see, it creates all these little tracking points. And as you scrub through, you can actually see all the points and how they move. So what I want to do is I want to place a piece of text right here. Great. So what it's doing is it's triangulating using 3 points to create a surface. So I'm going to right click and do Create Text and Camera. Great. So now you'll see that it has created a 3D camera and a text layer. And if you notice, as you scrub through, that text is now parented to your tracking point. So you can actually go up on here and click on your horizontal type tool. And I'm going to rename this to Room 249. Great. If you look over on the side here under the character panel, you can scale it down a little bit smaller. And then you'll see that it doesn't really look too good. It's off at an angle. It doesn't look quite right. So what we're going to do is we're going to come over here, click on Room 249 or whatever you named your text layer. And first we're going to press the R button. That's going to give you your rotational options. I'm going to start out by dragging the X layer up. And I want it to be up at a 90-degree angle. So you can actually double click on that number right there and just type in 90. Great. So next I'm going to look at my Y rotation. And I want that to line up with the door really well. So that looks just about right there. So then finally, I want to center this so that it's centered on the door frame. So to do that, click on your text layer and press the P button. That will let you change the position. What you can do is go to your selection tool and dragging the X arrow, center your text, just like that. Great. So then if you can scrub through now, you'll notice that it lines up really nicely with your door frame. Now it doesn't always work perfectly, but you can get it pretty close. So you might want to even cut it down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start right about here. And I might even drag the X back over on the X-axis just a little bit. The great thing about all of this is that it's very fluid and you can make changes as you go, depending on how much you like it. I'm going to drag back again. That looks pretty good. I think I'll start it right there. So to actually trim down a clip, you'll notice that you have a blue bar over here and over here. Now these are your work area sliders. So if you click and drag these in, that will start the actual export from that point right there. So now I'm going to drag forward and I'm going to end it right about there. Great. So now I'm going to drag in this work area slider. Got to be careful though, because if you drag it in the center, it'll move the entire work area. But that isn't what we want. What we want is to drag in the one slider. Great. So now We have a solid tracked text onto a piece of video. Our final step is to export it. To export our footage, we go up to File, Export, Add to Media Encoder key. Once your footage pops up, you can click on the output file to change the name and to show where to save. So I'm going to save it as hallway. Save. And then if you want to change your format, you would click on, in my case, H.264. It would load up the dynamic link server, which would then bring you into the export settings, where you can mess around with audio, video, width and height, and your format that you want to export in. But for right now, I'm going to leave it as H.264. And I click on OK. Click on your footage and hit the play button. And now it's going to export. Now this is going to go by pretty fast. I have a pretty decent frame rate and I have a pretty standard format. So then finally, after a few seconds, the footage will have fully exported. And if you minimize all of your windows and take a look at your footage, you'll see that you have a perfectly tracked text onto your footage. So thank you for watching. I hope you learned a lot. This has been a video tutorial from Mike Gesowich.